Friday morning, April 21st, 2023. Continuing baseball records analysis. I like focusing on Hall of Fame players because we have their records and stats and accomplishments. This video, most career base hits, total hits. Isn't that what baseball is about? Getting a hit, getting on base, scoring a run, winning games. You have the pitching aspect and you have the hitting aspect. I'm going to focus on most career hits. Let's look at 169 players. 168 of them are in the Hall of Fame, focusing on them. But there's one player who's not in the Hall of Fame, but I'm including him in the 169 that I want to analyze. And I'm going to go take very many videos to cover most hits. This video, who is ranked numbers 1 through 10 with most career hits. And they're in the Hall of Fame, except for one. And the guy on top, number 1, who has the most hits, Pete Rose. He's not in the Hall of Fame. But the other 9 guys are. So let's look at number 1, Pete Rose. Most career hits, 4,256 hits. Can you believe that? It took him 24 years. The most hits he had in a season, 230. Pretty good. Did you know that Pete Rose, looking at his stats, had 10 200-hit seasons? Consider this. If you played 20 years of Major League Baseball and you had 150 hits a year, that's 3,000 hits. Pete played 24 years, and yet he ends up with 4,256. So he averaged better than 150 hits per year, and he had 10 200-hit seasons. His career batting average, 303. But to accomplish what he did, he had to play a lot, and he did. Played 3,562 games. So, what does that average out to be? It's more than a hit a game, right? It's about 1.25 hits per game played to end up with 4,256. But interesting about Pete is that he was in the lineup just about every day, every season, except toward the end. Listen to this. 1963, he starts his career, 157 games, and he's 22 years old. If he had started at 20, he may have ended up with 4,500 hits. Starts at 22 and goes till age 45. But listen to this, games played. This is how he got the 4,256 hits. He played first year 157 games, then 136, 162, 156, 148, 149, 156, 159, 160, 154, 160, 163, 162, 162, 162. It's about 5 years in a row of 160 games. 159, 163, 162, 8 years in a row. Then he played 107. So I don't know what happened that year. 1981 is a strike. That's what happened. Then 162, 151, 121. Then when he's 43 years old, he cuts back. 95 games. And the following, about 95 games, 1984. 1985, he plays 119. And then 1986, 72 games. This is how he did it. He played 3,562 games, ends up with 4,256 hits. After saying all that, do you think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? I do. Yes. Anyways, let's go to number 2 on the list as far as career hits. Ty Cobb, you know the story, 4,189 games. He plays 24 years. He starts at 18, though. 1905. His first year, he gets 36 hits. How does he get the 4,000 hits? Well, he's playing 3,034 games. And he, we know, ends up with a 366 career batting average. But I'm focusing on hits. The second year, he got 113 hits. Then he takes off. 212, 188, 216, 194, 248. That was his high. 226, 167, 1914. Only played 98 games. I don't know what happened. Maybe he got injured. Even if he plays 98 games, he had 127 hits. And listen to this, 208, 201, 225. So 3 years in a row there over 200. 161, 191, 143, 197, 211, 189, 211, 156. Ends up 4,189 hits because he played over 3,000 games, and his high was 248. Baseball records, career hits. Those two guys at the top are the only ones that can lay claim with more than 4,000 hits in their career. Now, I know Ichiro Suzuki had 3,000 in the United States and another 1,000 in Japan. Does that count as 4,000? I don't know. But as far as the Hall of Fame, one person has the 4,000 and the other guy needs to be in the Hall of Fame, but he's not, and he has 4,000. Pete Rose, Ty Cobb. 4,000 hits. Why? Because they played over 3,000 games. That's how they did it. And they were in the lineup. And they get 200 hits a year. Cobb's case, how many 200? You know, I told you Pete Rose had 10 200 hit seasons. How many did Cobb have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. 9 200 hit seasons. That's how you get 4,000 hits. Number 3 on the list, Henry Aaron. 3,771 hits. How does he do it? Again, he's playing every day. He was in the lineup. Henry Aaron. Listen to this. 150. His first year, 122 games. Then he goes 153, 153, 151, 153, 154, 153, 155, 156, 161, 145, 150, 158, 155, 160, 147, 150, 139, 129, 120. And then toward the end, cuts back 112, 1975, second to his last year, 137 games, almost a full season. And then he just does 85 games. So he plays 3,298 games and ends up with 3,771 career hits. These top 3 guys played every day. That's what I want to emphasize. They played the games. They were in the lineup, and they made the most use of it, and they ended up the top 3 with career hits. 3,771, and he's a slugger. 755 homers. He's consistent. Henry Aaron, I would rate him the most consistent baseball player in the Hall of Fame. Number 1, consistency. 1, 2, 3 200 hit seasons. So he doesn't have 10 like Rose or 9 like Cobb. He has 3. But he's up there in the 190s, 180 every year. Henry Aaron, number 3. Number 4 on the list, Stan Musial, 3,630 hits. Stan the man. How does he do it? How does he get enough career hits? Well, he played 3,026 games. That's how you do it. And he's in the lineup. 150 games every year. He went a long stretch, even toward the end. His last year, he played 124 games. His low was 115. But he's up there, 155, 156, 154, 157. Every year he's in the lineup. And the 200 hit seasons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And his high, 230. 5 on the list. Tris Speaker. 3,514 hits. And how does he do it? He does it in less games. 2,789 games. Tris Speaker, 1, 2, 3, 4 200 hit seasons. His high, 222 hits, but consistent ball player. 6 on the list. Derek Jeter, how about this? I said it before. I didn't realize that when I was watching Derek Jeter on television playing for the Yankees in the 1990s, that he was such a good player. And that I didn't know if he was Hall of Fame when watching him. But he ends up with 3,465 hits. Number 6 all time, right? Derek Jeter. His high, 219 hits in a season. But he plays 2,747 games. Listen to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 200 hit seasons for Derek Jeter. I didn't realize at the time, but I was watching a Hall of Famer. I watched him in the 90s. They won the Yankees won the World Series. I watched it on TV. I watched the World Series every year. And you look at Derek Jeter and say, oh, he's a leadoff guy or he's batting second. And he got some hits, some doubles, good shortstop. I just took him for granted. But look what the guy does. 20 years, he gets 3,465 hits. I'm impressed. Nice going, Derek Jeter, number 6 on the list. Number 7, Camp Hansen. According to Baseball Reference, there's some squabbles of how many base hits he actually got. Why? Because he started in 1871. So how is the record keeping? But listen to this. He plays 27 years, and according to Baseball Reference, and according to this book, Baseball Hall of Famers Almanac, he plays 2,524 games and ends up with 3,435. Number 7 on the list, career base hits. Did you know that Camp Hansen did not have one 200 hit season? Had a lot of good ones, though. And did you know for the first 10 years he didn't play over 100 games in a season? Yet he still ends up with 3,435. How did he do that? Because look at the first couple. In the 1870s, he played 69, 70 games, 60 games. It wasn't until 1884 that he got over 100 games, 112. And then the most games he ever played in a season was 146. If Camp Hansen played 150 games like these other guys, they start out their career and they're playing 150, 160. Pete Rose's case, Ty Cobb and Speaker in the 150 range. Aaron is in the 150s, 160s. But Camp Hansen, if he had played those games, it's possible that he could have ended up with 4,000 hits if he played more games. Well, he played 2,524. Cobb played 500 more, and Rose played 1,000 more games than Hansen. Yet Hansen ends up with 34-35. Give 1,000 games to Hansen, he may ends up with 4,400 hits, which would have broke Rose and Cobb. I don't know. Hansen's a unique guy. I know he was a bad guy back in the day. Why? Didn't want to play with the African Americans. Shame on you, Camp. But he's a Hall of Famer. He's in the Baseball Reference, and he's number 7 on the list. Number 8, Honus Wagner. 3,430 career hits. Wagner. They say he was the best at his time. Played the 1890, got into the 1900s. Honus Wagner. Would you name your child Honus? Funny name, Honus. But he plays 2,794 games and ends up with 3,420 hits. He was in he played 150 games, 140 games, got in there a lot, and he had just two 200 hit seasons. What can you say about Honus Wagner as far as hits? He's number 8. I would have liked to have seen him get to 4,000 hits. And he could have if he played another 500 games. He could have got, because he's averaging more than a hit a game, right? He was about 580 short of 4,000. That would have been good for Cobb and Wagner both to have 4,000 hits. What do you think? Number 9 on the list, Carl Yastrzemski, 3,419. I didn't realize it too because I did see Yaz on TV that he would end up with so many hits. You know why? 3,308 games. That's how he did it. Did you know that Carl Yastrzemski did not have a 200 hit season? 3,419 hits. But he's in the lineup every day, 160 games, 150 games, 157. Him and Aaron, consistency through their career. You pencil him in the starting lineup in April, and he plays 150 to 160 games every year. Number 10 on the list, Paul Molitor. 3,319 hits. I saw him on TV. I didn't realize that he was a quality Hall of Fame player. I didn't realize he would end up with all those hits. Interesting. He did it in 2,683 games. Paul Molitor ends up with 3,319 hits, the 3,000 hit club. But he was a 200 hit guy. He's got 3 200 hit seasons, and his high was 225. The high for Wagner was 201. The high for Anson, 187. The high for Jeter, 219. Speaker, 222. Like I said, Musial 230, Rose 230, Cobb 248, Aaron and Speaker 222. Those are the top 10 baseball players with the highest career total hits. Pete Rose, not in the Hall of Fame. But the other 168 that I'm going to cover are in the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to list the hits and the person's name and make some comments of how I feel about the person. What do you think? Cobb, number 1. No, Pete Rose, number 1. He broke Ty Cobb's record. Even though it took Pete Rose 500 more games to do it, right? Rose played 3,500 games. Cobb played about 3,000. Pete Rose, Ty Cobb, Henry Aaron, Stan Musial, Tris Speaker, top 5. Then you got Derek Jeter, New School, after 1950. Camp Hansen, Hannes Wagner, Carl Yastrzemski, New School, and Paul Molitor, New School. So in the top 10, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ball players after the 1950s era, which I consider New School baseball. Then you have 5 in the Old School era: Cobb, Musial, Speaker, Hansen, and Wagner. That's numbers 1 through 10. Our next video will go 11, and we'll keep counting down, and we'll get all the way to 169 ball players. 168 of them in the Hall of Fame. Career total hits. Thanks for watching. I'm out.